Funny how people unsubscribe from your life without notice. One day they swear forever, the next they're gone. But hey, if you're here, hit subscribe. It's free, unlike loyalty. Let me tell you a story of betrayal, secrets, and revenge, the kind of story you wouldn't believe if it weren't true. It all started with my half-sister, who I'll call Freya. She was 2 years older than me and had a habit of cheating on every single guy she dated. The first time I caught her, we were just teenagers. She was 15, I was 13. She introduced me to her new boyfriend, Brad, a sweetheart, the kind of guy you'd want to root for. 2 days later, she had her so-called study buddy in her room for hours. I wasn't stupid. I knew exactly what was going on. But what really disgusted me was how she bragged about it to her friends. Right in our living room? I had to do something. So, when she disappeared back into her room with the guy, I took a picture through the keyhole. Nothing too wild, just a kiss, but it was enough. The next day, I snatched her phone, found Brad's number, and told him everything. Of course, he didn't believe me, until I sent the photo. He was devastated. He dumped her and she blamed everyone but herself. But she never suspected me. After all, I was just her adoring little sister, always watching, always learning. She didn't change. Fast forward 2 years, she was 17, I was 15. Her reputation as a cheater meant guys avoided her for a while. But then came Steven. Sweet, trusting, a little too naive for his own good. She convinced him she had changed, that she and Brad had only ever kissed. I didn't buy it. So I waited. For a whole month, nothing. I almost believed she had actually turned over a new leaf. And then, bam, she bragged about cheating again. I had no proof of the confession, but I did have a plan. She said she was meeting her side guy at the park. The next day I followed her. Took photos from a distance, hugging, kissing, the whole routine. Sent them to Steven. Another one bites the dust. Then came the worst of them all. Let's call him Bad Dude. He was awful, rude, disrespectful, and the kind of guy you just know would be dangerous if crossed. But here's the twist. Turns out he was cheating on her too. With the same guy she was cheating on him with. Yeah, you read that right. Bad Dude was secretly bisexual, and the second he realized Freya knew, he bolted like his tires were on fire. It was honestly hilarious. 3 down. By now, Freya knew someone was exposing her, but she didn't know who. She ranted to me about it without realizing I was the mastermind. But then she came up with a plan, to test her friends by feeding them different fake stories and seeing which one reached her next boyfriend. I played along, helping her create fake names, descriptions, and locations. Little did she know I was still watching, still waiting. And this was just the beginning. Watching my sister unravel was the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced. She thought she was so clever, weaving her web of lies, but I was always 10 steps ahead. After my last little stunt with the fake stories to her friends, she was spiraling. She kept texting me in a panic, convinced that someone had seen her, desperate to figure out who the rat was. But nobody came forward, and her paranoia led her to accuse her best friend, someone who had been by her side since diapers. When her accusations ruined that friendship, I played my part beautifully, pretending to be the supportive sibling. I sided with her friend, fueling Freya's doubts and making her look even more irrational. By the end of it, she had no one left to trust. But Freya being Freya, she didn't learn. She found another poor fool, a guy I'll call Sweet Boy. And in what was possibly her worst act yet, she cheated on him, with his own twin brother. This one took a little more effort to catch. Twins don't usually question Snapchat messages or random selfies. They look the same, after all. But when Sweet Boy shaved his head in solidarity with a friend battling cancer, and his brother didn't, I saw my chance. One quick video of her kissing the twin in a parked car, and I had all I needed. I sent it directly to Sweet Boy. She never saw it coming. She hadn't bragged about this one to her friends, hadn't left a single trail, so when the truth came out, she was left completely stunned. Still, she wasn't done. The only guy left in our town dumb enough to take her seriously was another ex, and of course she cheated on him too. But this time there was a twist. Was cheating on her as well, with one of her few remaining friends. The moment I found out, I made my move. I sent 4 pictures of Freya cheating, and I sent Freya pictures of 4 cheating. It was absolute chaos. Their relationship exploded, her friendships crumbled, and the entire town knew what she was: a serial cheater, a liar, and a fraud. She had officially burned every bridge. She had nothing left. And still, you might wonder, why am I telling this story now? Why did I go so far to take down my own sister? Because I never considered her my sister. She ruined my life long before I ruined hers. Freya and I share a father, but we have different mothers. My father had an affair with my mom, who I loved more than anything in this world. When I was 5, my father, armed with a better lawyer and an unshakable ego, ripped me away from her. He made sure she only got visitation rights, nothing else. I saw her once a week for one miserable hour. I tried to steal extra time with her, sneaking over to her house after school. But Freya, the ever-loyal daddy's girl, caught me. And she told him. That was the beginning of the end. We went back to court, and as a naive 8-year-old, I told the judge the truth. I hated my father. I despised him for cheating. I wanted nothing to do with him. But my words backfired. They ruled that my mother was trying to alienate me from him, and they punished her for it. My visitation was reduced even further, and I was forced into therapy to correct my attitude toward my father. A year later, my mother died. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. My father forbade it. My grandparents fought for me, but the court shut them down. Without solid proof that my father was unfit, they had no case. So I was stuck, with a man I hated, in a house with a sister I despised, pretending everything was fine. For years I bided my time. I played the role of the obedient daughter, the clueless sister. Because the best revenge isn't loud, it's quiet. It's calculated. And today my revenge is complete. Freya lurks on this subreddit. I know she's reading this. And I want her to know, I've won. Because today I moved out. I'm leaving this miserable house, this toxic family, and going to live with my maternal grandparents. And I made sure my departure left a lasting impression. Before I walked out, I printed out every single photo I had of my father cheating on my stepmother, with timestamp dates going back years. I plastered them all over the house. On the fridge, in their bedroom, inside his closet. Everywhere. My stepmother, who I actually feel sorry for, has a prenup. If my father cheats, he gets nothing. By now, she's seen the pictures. By now, she's packing her bags. By now, my father is losing everything. And I'm finally free. I had spent years watching my half-sister, Freya, destroy the lives of every man who dared to love her. With each boyfriend, she cheated and lied while I played the long game, exposing her every time. It started as a petty act of revenge, but over the years, it turned into something more. A plan so intricate, so calculated, that it would take down not only Freya but also the man responsible for ruining my childhood, our father. Freya had always been reckless, but her latest betrayal was the worst. She had cheated on her boyfriend with his own twin brother. That was the moment I knew I couldn't let this cycle continue. I exposed her again, but this time, it wasn't just about her infidelity. It was about revenge for something much deeper. Our father was a man who had stolen my childhood from me. He had cheated on Freya's mother with my own mother, then used his wealth and lawyers to legally abduct me. He had convinced the courts that my mother was unfit to raise me, leaving her with only an hour of visitation a week. When I was just a child, I had snuck over to see my mother, desperate for more time with her. Freya found out and ratted me out to our father. The result? My visitation was restricted even further, and I was forced into therapy to fix my feelings toward my father. I was 8 years old and I was already trapped. A year later, my mother died and he forbade me from attending her funeral. My maternal grandparents tried to fight for me, but the courts shut them down. They were told unless they had proof that my father was a bad man, they had no case. For years, I had lived under the same roof as my father and Freya, pretending that I didn't loathe them both. But the best revenge is served cold, and I had been patient. This week I made my final move. I printed every piece of evidence of my father's infidelity, date-stamped photos, chat logs, voice recordings, receipts for gifts he had bought for his mistresses. But I didn't stop there. I also left proof that Freya had known about our father's affairs for years, and that she had stayed silent. I placed all of it in key locations throughout the house. Then I walked out the door for the last time. Today my father and Freya are out of town. My stepmother, who holds all the power, will arrive home in just a few hours. When she does, she will find everything. And when she does, my father will lose everything. The house, the cars, the money, all of it belongs to her. Their prenuptial agreement guarantees that if he cheats, he gets nothing. Not even a cent. And with the evidence I left behind, there is no way for him to deny it. Freya won't be able to stop it either. Even if she sees this post right now, she won't get home in time to clean up the mess. I made sure of it. As for me, I'm finally free. I'm leaving, moving in with my maternal grandparents, the only people who ever truly loved me. I should have left at 18, but I needed to make sure this moment happened first. And now that it has, I can walk away knowing that justice, true justice, has finally been served. I sat there, my pizza half-eaten, my mind racing. My stepmother took a slow sip of her drink, watching me, gauging my reaction. "So," she said, setting the glass down with a soft clink, What are you going to do now? I wasn't sure. My grand revenge had unfolded like a perfectly laid trap, and yet I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. My father would be ruined. My sister would be lost, directionless, a bridge burned with no way back. And my stepmother, this woman I had despised for years, was walking away from it all, wiping the slate clean and leaving them both in the ashes. You really didn't know? I asked, my voice quieter than I intended. Her eyes darkened, a shadow of something I couldn't quite place passing over them. I had suspicions. I ignored them. It was easier that way. She leaned back, crossing her arms. But now, I don't have to ignore anything. She was right. There was nothing left to hide. My father's entire world was crumbling, and Freya was on her own now. I left the restaurant that day with an unsettling feeling in my gut. I had won. Every move had played out perfectly. But why did it feel like the game wasn't over? The answer came 2 days later in the form of a frantic call from Freya. You did this, she screamed, her voice raw and breaking. You tore everything apart. I smirked, holding the phone away from my ear as she ranted. The Freya I knew, the one who manipulated, who lied, who cheated without remorse, was unraveling. You were never my sister, I said calmly when she finally stopped to catch her breath. She let out a strangled sob. I didn't know. I didn't know what he did. I swear I didn't. You knew enough, I said. And you never cared until now, until it affected you. Silence. Then, in a voice so quiet I almost didn't hear it, she whispered, Where do I go? I hesitated. Despite everything, a tiny, almost imperceptible part of me wanted to answer differently. But I couldn't. That's not my problem. I ended the call. Freya wasn't the only one who reached out. My father, somehow, someway got my number. His message was short, clipped, a pathetic attempt at control. Come home. We need to talk. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. By the time the week was over, my stepmother had filed for divorce, frozen their shared accounts, and taken control of everything. My father, once so smug and untouchable, had been reduced to a pathetic shell of a man clinging to scraps. Freya had no one left, no friends, no family willing to clean up her messes. And me? I was free. I packed my bags that night, walking out of the house that had never felt like home. The town was small, suffocating, but I was done playing its games. My grandparents were waiting for me, ready to take me in like they had wanted to all those years ago. As I stepped outside, I glanced back at the house one last time. The lights inside flickered. A storm was rolling in, the wind howling through the trees. Fitting. With one final breath, I turned and walked away. Let them all deal with the ruins. I was done. And just like that, it was over. The war I had been fighting for years had finally come to an end. My father was out of our lives, Freya was left to make her own choices, and my stepmother, who I had once thought was just as bad as the rest, had proved she had at least some sense of responsibility. I still don't know how I feel about her. Maybe, over time, I'll figure that out. But for now, I've decided to take what's offered: support, stability, and the chance to move forward. As for my father, he got exactly what he deserved. His downfall was a slow-motion collapse of everything he had built on lies, and there was nothing left for him to hold on to. Freya might still have a chance if she makes the right choices, but that's not my concern anymore. I did what I had to do. And you know what? I have no regrets. Now, let me ask you this. Does this story resonate with you? Have you ever faced betrayal, family drama, or had to stand up for yourself in a way you never imagined? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear how people from different countries view this situation. If there's one lesson to take from this, it's this. You don't owe loyalty to people who destroy you. Blood doesn't define family, actions do. Stand up for yourself even when it's hard, even when people call you the villain. Because in the end, the only person who will truly fight for you is you. If you enjoyed this story, like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going. Who knows? Maybe your story is the next one to be told. Until next time, stay strong.